Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive, where we like to really unpack some fascinating stuff from the sources that you've been sending us. And today we're going to be looking at, how the digital age is changing the rules of the game, especially when it comes to, career success.
Mm.
And it's not just about tech skills, right? Like there's a deeper shift happening that I find really, really fascinating.
Yeah, it really is a power shift, right? The traditional gatekeepers are losing their grip, and individuals with the right kind of mindset and skills are, they're stepping up.
Yeah.
And they're defining their own success. And what's interesting to me, at least, is that, this isn't just a theory. We're actually seeing this play out in real time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So to kind of get into the nitty gritty, we've got two sources for this deep dive today. The first is this YouTube video by this really dynamic speaker, clearly all about empowering entrepreneurs. And then there's a blog post from today, actually, March 17th, 2025, that seems to kind of like build on the message of the video.
Yeah, that's right. And the fact that the blog post is so recent, it tells us that the conversation is very much alive and evolving. So really for you listening, the question is, how does this relate to your aspirations, your career journey right now? I mean, are you playing by the old rules, or are you ready to kind of rewrite the script?
Okay, so let's dive in. This speaker in the video starts off strong right off the bat. He says, we're all born slaves. It's definitely a provocative statement. What's your take on that metaphor?
Well, I think it's meant to challenge our assumptions about freedom and control, right?
Yeah.
The speaker is arguing that we're often conditioned, from a very young age to follow this kind of predetermined path to seek approval from, authority figures, institutions, whether it's our parents or teachers, society at large, right? Be a good employee, fit into the system, which may not actually serve our best interests. Yeah, I get that. It's like we're trading our authentic selves for, this promise of security and success that, very often just doesn't materialize. And I think a lot of people, especially in this digital age, are starting to realize that, that old bargain just isn't working anymore.
Exactly. And that's where this idea of choosing yourself comes in, right? Which the speaker really emphasizes. It's about reclaiming your agency, defining your own values and goals, and creating a path that's, truly aligned with who you are. It's rejecting the notion that you have to wait for permission or a handout to pursue your dreams.
I love that. It's so empowering. And it seems like the speaker and the blog post are specifically targeting this message to, digital natives. What's the significance of that term, and why is it so relevant in this context?
Well, digital natives are essentially those who have grown up immersed in technology, right?
Yeah.
So they have this kind of intuitive understanding of the digital world that older generations often lack. And what's interesting is that this fluency is becoming a form of leverage in the modern workplace. Okay, so unpack that a bit. What do you mean by leverage?
Well, think about it. Businesses are struggling to keep up with the rapid pace of technological change. They need people who can bridge the gap between the old and the new, who can speak the language of, both the market and the internet. Digital natives, they have a natural advantage in this regard. They're not intimidated by technology. They embrace it, they see its potential, and they can use it to create value in ways that, others might not even imagine.
That makes sense. And it seems like the blog post takes this concept a step further by introducing this idea of the sales funnel advisor. It's presented as a way to leverage digital fluency into a successful career path, without the traditional barriers of degrees or years of experience.
Right now, before we go any further, I think it's important to understand what a sales funnel actually is. It's basically a model that describes the journey a customer takes from initial awareness of a product or service to making a purchase.
Okay, so for those who aren't familiar with this concept, could you break down the different stages of a sales funnel? What are the key steps involved?
Absolutely. So there are typically four main stages. The first is awareness, where potential customers become aware of your product or service. This could be through advertising, social media, content marketing, or any other means of getting your message out there. The second stage is interest, where those who are initially aware start to learn more and engage with your content. Then comes decision, where they evaluate their options and decide whether to buy from you or a competitor. And finally, there's action, where they actually make a purchase.
So where does this sales funnel advisor fit into all of this? It sounds like they're helping businesses navigate these different stages and ultimately drive more sales.
Precisely. And the beauty of this role is that it really plays to the strengths of digital natives. They understand how to create engaging content, how to use social media effectively, how to build relationships online. And these are all essential skills for guiding customers through that sales funnel.
Okay, but how exactly does a sales funnel advisor make money? The blog post mentions commissions, but I'm curious to know more about, the actual business model.
Sure. So it's based on a partnership with a company called ValueFirst. And ValueFirst offers a suite of tools and resources for building and managing sales funnels. The sales funnel advisor essentially acts as a consultant or educator, introducing businesses to ValueFirst and showing them how these tools can help them grow their revenue.
So it's not about like selling a product directly. It's about providing, valuable information and guidance. And then if a business decides to sign up with Value First, the sales funnel advisor earns a commission on that sale.
That's exactly right. It's a win-win situation. The business gets access to powerful tools that can help them succeed, and the sales funnel advisor earns income by helping them achieve their goals.
I'm starting to see how this choose yourself mentality really comes into play here. Instead of waiting for a traditional job offer, you're creating your own opportunity by leveraging your digital skills and knowledge to provide a valuable service to businesses.
Exactly. And what's so empowering about this model is that it's accessible to anyone with the willingness to learn and the drive to succeed. You don't need a fancy degree or years of experience to get started.
The blog post even mentions that Value First provides all the training and resources you need for free. It's like they're removing all the barriers to entry and saying, hey, if you're passionate about helping businesses grow and you're comfortable navigating the digital world, come join us.
It's a very entrepreneurial approach, and I think it speaks to this larger shift we're seeing in the way work is being done. The old hierarchies are breaking down, and individuals are empowered to create their own paths, often by leveraging technology and digital platforms to connect with clients or customers directly.
It's almost like the traditional gatekeepers are becoming less relevant, and individuals with the right skills and mindset are able to bypass those traditional structures and create their own success.
That's a great way to put it, and this ties back to what the speaker in the video said about the education system, often preparing individuals to be good employees rather than empowering them to forge their own paths. The sales funnel advisor role is a perfect example of how you can create a successful career outside of that traditional model.
It's interesting that you mentioned the education system. The speaker was pretty critical of the way it's structured, arguing that it often stifles creativity and entrepreneurial spirit. Do you think there's a disconnect between what's being taught in schools and the skills that are actually needed to thrive in the modern workplace?
I think there's definitely a gap. The traditional education system often focuses on rote memorization and standardized testing, which don't necessarily translate into real-world success. What's needed now is a more holistic approach that emphasizes critical thinking, problem-solving, adaptability, the skills that are essential for navigating a rapidly changing world.
And it seems like digital fluency is becoming a core competency across all industries. It's no longer just about knowing how to use a computer. It's about understanding how technology is shaping the world around us and how we can leverage it to create value, solve problems, and build meaningful careers.
Absolutely. And the exciting thing is that this is an area where digital natives have a distinct advantage. They've grown up with technology, they're comfortable experimenting and exploring, and they're not afraid to challenge the status quo. Those are all qualities that are highly valued in the modern workplace.
Like the speaker said, no one is coming to save you. You have to be your own hero. And in this digital age, you have all the tools you need to write your own epic adventure. The sales funnel advisor role is just one example of the many paths that are opening up for those who are willing to embrace the power of technology and the choose-yourself mentality.
And I think it's important to note that this isn't just about individual success. It's about creating a more equitable and empowering system where everyone has the opportunity to reach their full potential regardless of their background or education, actually. Technology can be a powerful force for democratizing access to opportunity. And the sales funnel advisor model is a great example of that.
That's a really important point. It's not just about choosing yourself in the sense of pursuing your own selfish ambitions.
Yeah.
It's about choosing to create a better world for everyone.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we all have unique talents and abilities to offer, and that by empowering individuals to embrace those talents and create their own paths, we can collectively create a more vibrant, innovative, and equitable society.
So to bring it back to our listener, what are some of the key takeaways from this deep dive so far? What are the practical steps they can take to start choosing themselves in the digital age?
Well, I think the first step is to really embrace the choose yourself mentality. It's about shifting your mindset from one of passivity and dependence to one of agency and empowerment. It's about recognizing that you have the power to create the life you want and that you don't have to wait for permission or validation from anyone else.
Right. It's about taking ownership of your future and not being afraid to step outside of your comfort zone. And it seems like the sales funnel advisor role is a great example of how you can do that by leveraging your digital skills and knowledge to create a fulfilling and financially rewarding career.
Absolutely. And even if that particular path isn't the right fit for you, the underlying principles are still relevant. Identify a need, something you're passionate about, and find a way to use your skills to provide a solution. The internet has created a vast marketplace of opportunities, and there's no limit to what you can achieve if you're willing to put in the effort.
I love that. It's so inspiring to think about all the possibilities that are out there. And I think it's important to remember that this is an ongoing journey. Choosing yourself isn't a one-time decision. It's a daily commitment to personal growth, learning, and evolution.
That's a great point. It's not about achieving some static state of success. It's about embracing the process of becoming the best version of yourself, both personally and professionally. And that's a journey that never really ends.
Well said. And on that note, we're going to wrap up part 2 of our deep dive. But don't go anywhere. We'll be back shortly with the final part, where we'll explore some even more specific and actionable strategies for choosing yourself in the digital age. All right, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into choosing yourself in this digital age. And, something that's really stuck with me is this idea that age is not the barrier it used to be. I mean, in fact, the speaker in the video even calls it an unfair advantage to be young in this era. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it is a provocative statement, right? But I think there's a lot of truth to it. Digital natives have grown up with technology as like an extension of themselves. They don't have to unlearn these old ways of thinking or overcome that fear of the unknown that can really hold back older generations.
It's like they're already speaking the language of the future.
Yeah.
While the rest of us are still kind of, trying to catch up. And the blog post really emphasizes that point.
Yeah.
It's not just about being, tech savvy. It's about having a mindset that embraces change and innovation.
Exactly. Yeah, the blog post talks about how traditional systems are struggling to adapt to this rapid pace of technological advancement, and that creates this huge opportunity for, those who are comfortable operating in this new landscape.
So if you're listening to this and you're feeling that spark of possibility, that urge to kind of break free from the mold, what's the first step? How do you actually start choosing yourself?
Well, it starts with a decision to stop waiting for permission, to stop doubting your abilities, and to just start taking action. It's about embracing your unique skills and perspectives and finding ways to leverage them in this digital world.
Yeah, the speaker in the video put it really well. He said, no one is coming to save you. You have to be your own hero. And it seems like the sales funnel advisor path that we've been talking about that's outlined in the blog post provides like a really concrete roadmap for doing just that.
Absolutely. It's a practical example of how you can take your digital fluency and turn it into, a really fulfilling and financially rewarding career. But even if that specific path isn't the right fit for you, the underlying principles are universally applicable.
Okay, so what are some of those key principles that our listeners can apply regardless of, their specific career goals or aspirations?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's about identifying your strengths and passions.
Yeah.
What are you good at? What do you enjoy doing? And how can you use those skills and interests to create value in the digital world?
Yeah, the speaker in the video talked a lot about, finding a need and providing a solution. It seems like that's a core principle of choosing yourself, right? Identifying a problem that you're passionate about solving and then using your skills and creativity to develop a solution.
Exactly. And the digital age has created so many new avenues for doing that, whether it's building an online business, creating content, developing software, connecting people with resources. I mean, there are countless ways to make a positive impact and build a successful career on your own terms.
It's really exciting to think about all the possibilities that are out there. And I think it's important to remember that this is a journey, not a destination. There will be challenges and setbacks along the way, but the key is to keep learning, keep growing, and keep pushing yourself outside of that comfort zone.
That's so important. The digital world is constantly evolving. So the ability to adapt and learn new skills is essential. Embrace the challenges, see them as opportunities for growth, and never stop experimenting and exploring.
I love that. So to wrap up this deep dive, what's the one message you want our listener to take away from this conversation?
The power to create the life you want is in your hands. The digital age has broken down so many barriers and created, unprecedented opportunities for individuals to forge their own paths, embrace your digital fluency, identify your passions, and don't be afraid to choose yourself.
Beautifully said. It's time to ditch the old script, the one that tells you to wait your turn, follow the crowd, and settle for less. Choose yourself, embrace your digital superpowers, and build a future that's as unique and awesome as you are. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep choosing yourself.